I'm excited for our guest today, Griffin Santopietro, about Cobra Kai season 6. He plays Anthony LaRusso. Man, what a journey this has been for you to play this character. And it's been fun watching your character grow and get more and more exposure on the show. And now you're there. So thanks for hanging out, Griffin. It's great to meet you.
Of course. Yeah. Thank you for having me. Happy to be here.
So, how does it feel for you now to have your character be developed after so many seasons? He's now part of this story in a really major way. I mean, it's really cool for you to, I would think, to play such a pivotal character and also get a lot of action now too, which is really fun to watch.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's been pretty crazy over these last couple of years. Just growing up I mean, this was such a cool opportunity to sort of have, like, especially just balancing, school and being a normal kid and then going to Atlanta and filming with Ralph Macchio was a really interesting sort of two worlds to grow up in. And, it's really responsible for a lot of the way that I am now, because just learning and getting to watch Ralph do his thing and get to see everyone from such a young age has really shaped a lot of my acting.
Yeah. So, how did you wind up getting the job? Did you know what you were auditioning for initially? Like, what was that moment like when because you have done other things before, but this was like a really big move in your career.
Yeah, I mean, it was, the show didn't start on Netflix. Like, it was a much smaller,
Yeah, it was on
at
YouTube,
the
like a
beginning. Yeah, I was on
YouTube
YouTube,
Red
exactly.
thing.
So I lived in Connecticut. My mom was picking me up from school one day. She was like, "Yeah, we're gonna go to New York tomorrow to get someone else to film this audition because we didn't have any filming equipment." And she said it's for Cobra Kai, and I had seen the Karate Kid, but I didn't recognize it. And so I didn't really know what I was going in for, but it's just so lucky that I was able to get it at the time because I did only one audition for it. I think I had like two scenes in the audition and then I got the part. Whereas, like, I hear now about people that even like Una and Dallas who have to audition by the time we were on Netflix. Like, the audition process was so different. It was callbacks and dummy sides and meetings with the producers and stuff. And like for me, I'm like, I just kind of sneaked in at the greatest time and got to grow up there.
Yeah, that is interesting because I remember when it showed up on YouTube, like it was a YouTube Red, I think they were calling it.
Mhm.
And the interesting thing I thought about it was because I'm 50 and I grew up with the original series and
Right.
films and things. So I was a little bit, I wasn't, I wouldn't say suspicious, but I thought it was kind of interesting that they were telling the story of these two characters who were arch enemies at one point, and now we're kind
Right.
of getting to see where their life is, which I thought was a little interesting. But I subscribed to YouTube Red at the time because you had to pay for it, and
Right.
I was like, this is badass. Like, I want more of this. And thank goodness we've gotten it. And you're funny. Your storyline has been cool to watch. And as you are part of this family. And now, as I mentioned at the beginning, we're in season 6, part 1, where you've really grown into your character
Mhm.
and you are now a central part to all of this. So how cool is it? I mean, here we are, several years later, and you're killing it. So that's cool to know too.
Yeah, yeah, thank you. I mean, it's been pretty cool to see Anthony grow, as I was doing simultaneously. And I think the greatest opportunity I had was the fact that my part got to grow as I was becoming more confident as an actor. Like when I was 11, I didn't have that much to do, but now that I was, finally an adult on set, I really felt like I was getting my fair share. And just getting to see Anthony really be part of this world and interact with all these characters you never really thought he was going to see, like, just for me was a good reminder of how big the show has gotten since like the season one. Like we've really sort of blown up our proportions, which has been cool.
Yeah, Sean Cannon said it's like a pop culture juggernaut now. Like it's crazy to think that. So what does Anthony think of his life now? Like if you were to talk to him, he went from, as you said, this character where he was just part of a family, where he had a dad who had this life, and now he has a sister that he's watching who has been brought into the family business, so to speak. But now he is equally as important in that part of the story.
Yeah, I think the coolest thing that he was described to is the fact that, even in season 4 and 5, when you see Anthony in the dojo, like the novel part of that storyline is that he's there for the first time. But what I really thought was cool about season 6 is that him being in the dojo was just sort of treated as normal. Like he was finally a part of the team in that regard. So, with the training montage and all that stuff, like the focus was less on the fact that he's there and just what he's doing there. So I think, for him, if I were to be talking to him, he would just be honestly happy to be included. Like he's probably been watching this world, go karate crazy around him like these last couple of years. And then like finally he gets to be part of it and talk to his sister and dad more. So I think for him, like it's just about being included.
Yes. Well, there has been this very interesting storyline between you and Kenny, played by Dallas, who we
Hmm.
had when he first came onto the show. We interviewed him, and nobody knew who his character was. We just knew that he was going to be joining a dojo, but we didn't know which one. And here we are. So, what has that been like working with Dallas and just this relationship that's been tumultuous to say the least? Not to
Right.
mention that whole protein powder debacle, which was just like,
Right.
it was funny. I talked to Aiden and I interviewed him, and of course, his
Mhm.
mom manages him. And it was just kind of a funny conversation we were having about, like, I couldn't think of a character I would think it was the funniest to see happen to, but it's also really unfortunate because it kind of messes with him mentally
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, I mean, I think that part of getting to watch Anthony grow was inherently getting to watch like Kenny grow over these last 3 seasons. So, I mean, that's even with all the great stuff I get to do with Ralph and Mary, the stuff I've gotten to do with Dallas is my favorite. Only because we were, I finally had someone else on the show I was actually like a kid with. So, like, season 4 and 5 was very fun and juvenile for us, and then season 6 was both our year of being like, okay, we got to, we're seriously getting a good workload, and we're, focusing on our professionalism. So, getting to just work with him in whatever capacity, whether it was when we were, I was bullying him or he was bullying me, or now we're like kind of even or whatever it is now before part 2. But even that protein powder laxative situation, like one, um I'm glad Anthony's not the culprit, but it sucks that Kenny thinks he is. So, I think
Yeah, he really does think it's
right.
you.
Right. And I think what people will get to see in part 2 is like, I mean, with everything going on in the grander world, it's pretty clear they're going to have to work their stuff out. They can't be focusing on this, petty rivalry for that much longer. So I'm excited for people to see how they do that. And yeah, I mean that was a hilarious moment to watch watch there and watch on screen.
Yeah, I would imagine so. It was really funny. But we're hoping, I think, that these two work it out. As you said, it's season 6 at this point. Like, a lot of this rivalry outside of Peyton's character, it's cool to see everybody working together, right? I
Yeah.
mean, it's a really big deal. So, as I said, I have seen you on other things. I saw you on an episode of like New Amsterdam, where you got to work with Tyler, who is a former guest, and do a really cool character there, and other things here and there. But what was it that interested you, Griffin, in acting? Like, where did that journey begin for you?
I started with, like little like school plays in like third grade with it was all because my older brother, who was still into it and was into it first. And so we used to do that together. And then one day my mom, someone recommended my mom this talent search for agents and managers that she put us in. And from there, I mean, I was only 9, 10 years old, but still like from there, like I finally, I was never athletic and I was never like doing anything else. So like I finally found something that could be, my thing. And then I got my agents from there. And so I just started auditioning, and then yeah, so I started when I was like 9 or 10, and 11 I got Cobra. So like, I was, that was a big part of my journey so far. It's just been Cobra Kai. But it's been cool in between seasons to get to work on like those, smaller projects.
Yeah. So, what do friends and family outside of like your parents think of your success that you've had on Cobra Kai? Like, what do your friends say to you? Do they have notes for you? Like, it would be cool. You're laughing, like,
Right.
or
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely it's funny, the people closest to me, this is a good thing, but the people closest to me usually, aren't super involved in caring about it that much. But it's funny, especially never doing, a lot of actors my age do online school, but I never did. And so like walking around campus, there would always be like one freshman that would recognize me and freak out. And I'd be like, "What?" And it'd be a nice, sort of reminder of how many people do watch the show. But usually people are always like people in my class and stuff, they're always telling me either I have to get Kenny back or um, I deserve what happened to me from Kenny. So like it's a lot of I get a lot of Kenny stuff.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting that that character was chosen in particular to be sort of an archetype to you and an enemy, frenemy, so to speak. And it really is fun watching the tension between the two of you, as far as like the bullying, or even at this point, I don't think it's that. I think it's just like both trying to figure out ways to work it out. But it does suck for your character that he thinks you are the one that gave him the laxative.
Yeah.
So hopefully in this second part here, the back 10 or 5 or however many we've got,
Mhm.
we get to see how that all pulls itself together. Well, this is really cool. Like, it's been fun watching you, and congratulations. What are some things that you hope to see for your character? No spoilers, but you outside of this like relationship with Dallas that you have to work through, like where do you want to see your character go, if you can talk about that?
Yeah, I mean, I want to see him, I guess this last three or so seasons has been him trying to figure out his place in all of this
Mm-hmm.
because there you got your top four of the dojo, and then you got your senseis and stuff. So he doesn't really know where he fits in. So yeah, aside from his rivalry and stuff, like I think it's important to hope or to see that Anthony sort of figures out how he can play a role in this that's maybe more authentic to him and not trying to be someone else.
Yeah, very cool. One last question or two here. You've gotten to work with some legends on this show, the
Mhm.
Legacy cast. Not to put you in a corner, but who is like your favorite to work with outside of like Billy or
Right.
Ralph or Martin, like other
Oh,
Legacy cast
yeah.
members that have come and gone?
It's got to be Yuji as chosen. I mean, he is so fun, and I he was introduced in season three, I want to say, and I wasn't super involved in that season, so like we never got to meet till we never really got to work together till I think my bit in season five, like the protect the egg stuff, and just being there to actually watch him work was so funny because I didn't realize how much of his comedic dialogue and stuff was really him coming up with it on the spot and making us all laugh. So and he's just such a cool guy. So he's definitely like my favorite, besides like Ralph.
Yeah, well, congratulations. Hopefully, you get to enjoy your summer a little bit more before you start on whatever it is you're working on next. But I can't wait to see where this goes. It's been fun watching you, and it's really cool to see an actor who starts out on a show, like you said, with not a lot of responsibility, but as time
Mhm.
goes on, be given more of that and to really expand your character. That's cool, man. It has to feel
Yeah.
good as an actor, right? I mean, to
Yeah, it's
really
awesome.
like be trusted more or whatever the process is. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's been just such a cool experience.
Yeah, well, you're awesome in it. It's fun to watch you fight these guys. I hope these characters resolve their drama,
Right.
so to speak. And yeah, congratulations, Griffin, on all your success. I really appreciate
Yeah.
you hanging out today.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.